uses sometimes to try to catch the person saying, oh, you're not really qualified, or this isn't really you, or your company is doing something tricky or shady here. So it's good to make everything consistent.
Well, yes, it's not that it's impossible to seek extension, but you have to go through the process. So to be eligible to seek extension of your stay there, you must be present inside the US in legal temporary visa status. That's very important. And then, yeah.
That was a question somebody asked earlier, like, what's the, is there some deadline you have to apply for an extension? Yeah, the last day that you're allowed to be there is the last day you can apply. So you could apply up to the very last day. It doesn't affect your case, but it's preferable to apply early so there's no mistakes and problems don't come.
Even for the L category?
Any category. Yeah, any category. Extension must be filed at least before the last day or on the last day. Even I've gotten away with the day after the last day, but don't go there. You don't want to do that. You want to be like way ahead of time, not against the deadline.
So basically plan well in advance. If you're going to, if you're going to stay there for another 2 or 3 months, and if it is very clear, imminent, then you better plan well in advance, at least a month or two, and do the necessary paperwork, and so that you're safe. So when you're applying, what he meant to say was, when you're applying for an extension, you should have been there legally. It's not that after you have, after your visa is expired. Yes, Christine.
This B1 extension of state bill, is it the visa or the I-94?
I-94.
So the visa cannot be extended. So
The visa itself could be for 10 years. The period you get when you come into U.S. might be 3 months, 6, a year, possibly, if you're lucky. When you get to the end of your I-94 status, then extension.
Extension, yeah.
So the technical idea is visa is a document that lets you come into U.S. I-94 is what lets you stay in the U.S.
The visa expiry date mentioned on the visa is not the day when employee can exit on the day. It's the I-94 which decides. Even the expiry of the visa also employee can stay over.
Yeah.
It's just entry to enter the country.
Right.
Yes. I have 2 queries on this. How long does it take to get an approval or refusal for an extension?
Good question.
Do the applicant require to be there in US to receive this, or he can travel back to India?
Typically, I would say between 1 and 4 months you get an approval for an extension. 1 month is, sometimes they do it quickly, sometimes it takes more than that, sometimes it even goes on for 9 months, a year, maybe they never get back to you. I've seen cases that are still going after years, they never even got back to the person. So it varies. Does the person have to stay in the US? Not necessarily. If I'm here for 3 months on the first entry and I extend, and immigration is processing the extension application, and I leave, I'm okay.
You have to revoke it.
You probably should as a good housekeeping measure, but immigration will not know if you revoked it or not, probably.
That's up to another question. Does it stop me go for any other kind of visa when I'm back in India, or I should complete the process and then get back to the consulate?
No, it shouldn't affect you at all, because again, immigration is so big and vast. I don't think they know often when you filed an application in this office for one type of extension or visa, and when you have applied for H-1B over here. They don't always know the right hand is doing something, the left hand is doing something else.
But sometimes they query.
I would say that it could be a query that comes. Generally, the last application that was filed will be the application that is the one that gives you the benefit, the final benefit that will be given. So if I apply for H-1B, after I apply for an extension of a B visa, typically they will, if they approve my H-1B, the B visa is now canceled and I'm converted to an H-1B. So I mean, it's getting complicated. That's kind of an area where hopefully you won't, most of you will not be working if you're preparing the visas for first-timers and things like that. But do you have to revoke an application for extension? Probably not. That's not a practice that I normally do. Yes?
Sometimes we have visas and even with an annotation to enter Chicago for business meetings. Now, would there be an implication if the person were to enter at a different port of entry?
It could be. In fact, when the immigration officer looks at that visa, they might tell them, you know, hey, you're in the wrong place. It could happen. That's a good chance.
Suppose he were to enter at another place, could he show a ticket to the place which is mentioned on the annotation?
I think that you would have to be a good actor, you'd have to be a very creative person to explain why you're in San Francisco, but really this visa only allows you to go to Chicago. You know, what happened? You might be able to get away with that. Hey, I'm going to ride Amtrak to Chicago. You know, Amtrak is the train system over there. You know, or something. I'm going to sightsee or whatever. You might come up with something. Maybe they'll be kind. Who's having fun? Is anyone having fun here? Is this all right for you guys? Is this better than work? I hope it's better than work.
But is it good to apply for B1 extensions? Normally, I think we should refrain from doing that.
I think if you're a company and you want to have the good reputation with immigration, generally you only do that for extreme cases.
Is there a premium processing for B1 extension?
No. Only Form I-129 gets premium processing, and now Form I-140. But not the I-539, which is the extension form for B1.
How does the USCIS view the I-94 extensions? Repeatedly, we are making the I-94 extensions for our employees.
Right.
Do they look at if these guys are trying to violate?
I don't think so, not typically, because the B1 extension is an individual application. It's from me to the government. It doesn't have my company name on it at the top saying this is my sponsor. It just says I'm here on a B1 visa and I would like to extend for this reason or that reason. And I don't think their database links the name of the company to the B1 extension. I think it's just that individual.
Normally when we apply, we keep one supporting document.
You do when you apply for the visa, or you mean when you apply for the extension. But still, I don't believe that it's tied necessarily to the employer. The I-539 does not have the employer information. It's only in the supporting documents. And so the form, most of the data goes into their system, I think, right off of the form. Not necessarily like the sponsor. It's all about this individual and their own personal reason why they may need to stay. They could get sick. They could have, they met somebody, they want to go to a wedding or attend some other event. They want to go to Disneyland or something. You know, there's reasons why people extend that are beyond the employment parameters. So there's a number of reasons. I don't think they track that very much. That's my personal belief. But it could be when you do 6,000 of them a year that, you know, maybe there's a different level of scrutiny given by immigration for those. But I still think that they're individual applications. It shouldn't happen that your company would get a more, I guess, a reputation for doing that or being, irresponsible. Yeah.
An employee has a B1 visa for about 10 years and he keeps changing jobs. So, the first time he gets a visa from one company, so can he travel from the other companies as well?
Sure. Yeah, you could do that. Some of them will have annotation, like you said, good for this employer, good for entry for a conference over here, or good for entry to that city, or whatever. If the consular officer at the embassy is kind of not being nice that day, they could just say it's for a specific purpose, and then you're stuck.
I have a B1/B2 visa, so I've gone on a business visit. So can I again go on just for a testing purpose?
You should be able to. Yeah, definitely.
When you actually apply for this extension of B1,
right?
You said you could probably go beyond 9 months or something like that.
Sometimes I've seen,
but
yeah.
That's again a problem,
It is.
You go so far, but do you have say minimum turnaround time and the maximum turnaround time, as per your knowledge, in getting that extended?
I would say, do you mean like the period from filing until approval?
Yeah.